wrestling. Young Austin's a big fan of the WWE.
Young Austin
World
or just Austin in general?
Entertainment. I love the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. He did that muscle stretch. He's like, I'm strong.
Was he really that strong, though?
I don't. Can you do a flying elbow?
Yeah.
Can you do it gracefully?
Yeah.
Can you?
My middle name is Grace, all right?
Your parents are awful. David Grace.
Hey.
Oof.
My parents, listen.
Your mama is a sweetheart.
You have met my mom. That's funny.
Mama Kennedy is a nice lady.
Hey, she's a listener.
Oh, good.
Mom?
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, love you, Mom.
Listen, Mama Kennedy, if you're listening to this, David
she's
said
listening.
he would like some chocolate chunk cookies, fresh baked.
She's not a baker.
She can try. Crawdads? I haven't had crawdads. Never mind. What does your mom cook?
Crawdads exclusively.
Oh, shoot.
Nerdy, unqualified, and probably indistinguishable from rambling. Welcome to the A&D show.
Hello and welcome back to the follow-up episode of our Myths Busted experiment.
Extravaganza?
Yeah. We're back again with our guest, Adam, and we are so pumped to pick up where we left off last time. And we're gonna jump headfirst into the myth pool. That's a weird way to say it. Myth pool.
The hot tub of myths.
The hot tub of myths. It's a giant pool of milky myths.
I have a problem saying the word myths because I can't pronounce it right.
Well, at least you're not one of those people
about
that pronounces it myths.
Oh, gosh.
Ugh. It's just like word vomit. It just makes you want to just, ugh.
It's almost as bad as the people that say umble.
Or herbs.
Herbs. Crown. What color is that crown?
I'm sorry. It's golden. And if you're talking about this little wax coloring bit in my hand, that's a crayon.
Is it wolf or woof?
Oh, it's wolf.
It's wolf.
Definitively.
There's an L in there. Wolf.
Man, we may just have to do a rant episode at some point. Just rants.
Please let me.
A&D show rants. We'll do it as a bonus episode. Here
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
It's a good one.
Oh, by the way, I failed to mention this on our previous episode. We recorded that one just after 4th of July, Independence Day. And I wanted to mention this quick rant. Just a quick...
Please, the floor is yours. The floor is absolutely yours.
Just a little public service announcement. For the love of all things patriotic, call the holiday by its name, not by its date. Rant over.
That's fair.
Listen, here's the thing.
Independence Day.
Independence Day. It's not called July 4th, sheeple. It's Independence Day.
If we keep using the phrase sheeple after this series of episodes, I'm going to vomit. Because every time if I ever see you use the word sheeple on Twitter or Facebook, you're probably getting blocked. It's also mainly because you're a fan of Alex Jones.
All I'm saying...
is America is the best country in the nation.
We shouldn't.
That's just bad geography is what that is.
There should be certain rules that apply to not only voting, but also for putting up signs ever.
Yes, especially on marquee.
Oh, man.
So, okay, anyway, rant over. I just have noticed a lot of people posting, Happy 4th of July, and that's not the holiday. The holiday is Independence Day. Get it right. America
Or
is
as
the
they call it
best.
in London, Treason Day.
Treason Day. So, Elvis, is he dead
guns.
or isn't he?
Ooh.
If he isn't dead, is he an alien that was sent home to his home planet?
He is by now. He's definitely dead by now.
If Elvis were alive, he'd be dead today.
What if he was cryogenically frozen like Walt Disney's head?
Ooh.
Is that true?
That's not true.
I think it is.
I mean,
No, I mean
well,
like the Walt Disney part. Is he actually frozen?
I mean, I've heard that
don't
he
know.
is, but Disney, the corporation,
Yeah.
has come out and said that it's very much not true. But
Of course they would.
how much do they say that we actually believe? Mm-hmm. They're like CNN. You can't believe anything they say anymore.
He's probably somewhere in that big old castle at the Disney World.
He's a robot.
Oh,
He is Big Hero 6.
it is me, Walt.
Or Wally, one of the two.
That's what they're hiding in Antarctica.
Wally?
It's his head. No, it's Walt's head.
Walt's
That's all
head.
it is. They're literally mercenaries surrounding the country.
The mercenaries
just to
are all the
block
characters.
out.
The mercenaries are all the characters from every Disney animated film.
Let's tell them the Earth is a ball. They'll
Are
never
we
know.
creating our own myths? Is that what's going on
this
right
is
now?
the best.
Wouldn't that be great if it caught?
I'm going to shoot you.
Mickey Mouse. Tinkerbell.
Small gun.
Listen, do you remember though in Men in Black, the midget cricket?
It's true.
Small gun, big punch. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So Elvis, is he dead? Is he alive? Weigh in.
Yeah.
Yes. No. I think at the time he was definitely. I'm not one that thinks that Elvis was still alive. I don't believe that that they faked. I mean, he was at like the peak of everything, and people are like, "Oh well, maybe he wanted some privacy." Listen,
Nobody needs privacy.
how much is that check for? Like, I mean, really, how many millions of dollars am I making every single month?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't need privacy. I'm a millionaire. I could buy privacy.
I know that
Small
some
island.
of the perpetrators of the myth, or the prognosticators, or the what's the word I'm looking for?
Promoters,
Propagators.
propagators.
Some of the most of the propagators of the myth that Elvis is still alive, aside from the whole extraterrestrial element, are elderly women who are just so in love with him that they refuse to believe.
True. This is true.
I don't know if we have any of them as listeners, but I can tell you one thing: if we did, we don't anymore.
This is a real question. Is your mother-in-law, a.k.a. my great-grandma, a Elvis, does she believe he's still alive?
No, I don't believe so.
I think she did.
The question is not does she believe he's still alive. The question is does she believe he died whenever the public said he died.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
Because she may be one of the few.
But there's a legitimate argument to be made.
there are.
If Elvis, if he was alive, he'd be dead today.
Right.
Oh,
Like,
correct.
that's a legitimate.
Correct.
He'd be what 83 or 84.
Yeah,
he was born in like 35.
He lived hard. I mean,
But exactly
Yeah.
free
He
radicals.
lived
I
hard.
mean,
I mean, my grandparents are 83, and they're still alive and kicking.
right.
Yeah, but
right,
they
exactly.
didn't live.
But they didn't live as
But
hard
by
as he
the
did.
time he was 40, he died in the 70s, like early 70s.
Yeah.
I
Something
think by
like
the
that.
time he was in his 40s, this guy had. I mean, he had a known, reputed like drugs, alcohol,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff, hard living, late nights, or you know what I mean,
hard
Mostly
drugs,
hard drugs,
not just alcohol, like hard
Yeah,
drugs.
he had died in 77.
70. Okay, late 70s.
He was born in 35, so yeah, he's
so he would have
pushing.
been 42 when he died.
If he were alive now,
He'd be pushing 85.
Yeah, easy.
83. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
he'd
right.
have been the same age as my grandparents.
So, I mean, he could be alive today, but some of the theories, I don't buy. Like
Well,
the
here's
Gardner theory is the one.
Yeah. The Gardner theory. One of the theories that I've seen that I think is just hilarious. Anybody who's seen, I think it was Home Alone 2.
I listen.
Have you heard about this?
I saw this today. I'd never heard of this.
This is hilarious. Okay, so in Home Alone 2, when Kevin, the kid, Macaulay Culkin's character, is stuck at home and his parents or he's stuck at New York and his parents are on the plane, they're flying away or whatever. His mother is actually, we're pulling up a picture of it. We can't show them. Maybe we'll use this as our thumbnail. But we're basically when his mother is at the ticketing booth or whatever, there is a person standing behind her who looks exactly as Elvis would have at the time period that the movie was made.
Or Richard Karn from Home Improvement.
Or Richard Karn from Home Improvement. That's a fair. That's
Tim. This is fascinating.
yeah. Isn't that interesting though? That's probably one of my favorite favorite bits of the Elvis alive myth.
I have to believe if he was like hiding out, like he wouldn't be dumb enough to walk into the back of a film, right?
The funniest thing is that this guy, whoever this is, whether it's Elvis or somebody that looks like him, whoever this is, his face is so clearly in that shot. They would have had to pay him as an extra to be in that film.
Why hasn't he come out? Said it, sheeple. Huh?
That's the second time we've used that word in
Why
this
didn't he say,
podcast.
Hey, that was me.
But anyway, that's probably one of my favorite pieces of, quote, evidence
Oh, it's so good.
in this theory or this myth.
This is a beautiful image. I want everyone to know. This has got to be.
Send me the link to that, and I will use that. We will use it as our thumbnail for this
It
episode.
looks terrifying.
I'm all shook up.
So I guess deliberation has come to a conclusion, and the decision is that Elvis is certainly dead, certainly now,
Certainly.
and that he was actually dead when they said he was. Because one of the things, we ran into this the last time we talked about the moon landing and we talked about flat Earth theory. The largest complication with large scale myths, large scale conspiracies is what is the point? What is the point behind faking Elvis's death? Like, there's no.
Now, that's the only conspiracy that I could buy into, is that it was the mafia, that he had to go into witness protection from the mafia.
I mean, I could understand that being a
That's legitimate.
I can understand
and
it,
I would.
But there's just no. I don't know.
No, I just
I
don't buy
feel so. I'm so like. What's the word the millennials use these days? I'm so shook by this entire thing.
Gosh,
Triggered.
Triggered. I am so triggered.
Don't ever use the word shook again.
So along the same lines of myths and myth lore is let's just run down the list. What do you say?
Yeah.
Princess Diana, not Princess Leia.
Different princess.
Yeah, she's still alive, at least in Star Wars.
So, she shouldn't be. Well, not anymore. She's not.
It's too soon, man.
Too soon.
Too
Terrible.
soon.
I'm awful. I'm sorry.
We lost our entire fan base at that one statement.
Really sorry.
It's okay. So Princess Diana. Okay, here's the thing. Princess Diana, for those that don't know, any of our listeners that were too young and that were not alive for the whole scandal.
I remember people weeping about
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And it's basically what happened was Princess Diana, she was dressed up fancy, going to some high fancy falutin.
Her and Dodi Al-Fayed
Yeah.
were leaving dinner.
Yes.
And the paparazzi were chasing them. So they go down into this tunnel and they
Next
get into
thing
an
you know,
accident. They
there's an accident.
drive right into a concrete barricade.
And she dies
Yeah.
instantly. And it was just this big scandal, and everybody is like, why did Princess Di have to die? No pun intended.
Well, she didn't have to die because she was murdered.
She was murdered.
Murder.
So,
Most foul.
Hold on, before we go on, I just want to shout out my friend Corey, who's obsessed with murder and murderers and things. He just thinks it's the most intriguing thing ever. So, Corey, I know you're listening, so this is for you, buddy.
I feel like maybe your friend shouldn't be interested in murder.
Oh, he is, though. You know what he told me? He was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he said, oh, man, I love a good murder. And I'm just like, I don't think you should say that ever again, you freak.
Also, never go to his basement. Dear Lord.
He's got like newspaper clippings like stapled all over the walls. Colored yarn attaching different things.
Why do you have 9 chest freezers in the freezer? Don't look in there.
I'm like, Corey, what is all this stuff on your wall? He's like, oh, it doesn't actually mean anything. I just thought it looked cool. Good wall art.
So Princess Di,
Princess Di.
Well, they say she wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Oh, I have a theory on this. It's completely, I just made it up. And it might be something that's been heard before. But go on. Tell us about how she was murdered and why.
All right. So it was no secret the royal family was not fond of her, especially of her relationship with Dodi Al-Fayed. Mm-hmm. So I'm a firm believer that either they had paid off their security team to, wreck that car or something. Something happened that caused them to be double-crossed. Whether it was someone that came next to him in the tunnel and pushed him into the barricade. Something had happened that...
It was Jack Reacher.
That's not...
Tom Cruise.
It's not a thing.
Ethan Hunt.
Ethan Hunt.
Jason Bourne.
I've only seen 2 of those films. One films.
Whatever Jeremy Renner's character's name was in that film franchise.
The Hawkeye guy.
Ooh, you got a bow and arrow.
It was Thanos.
Terrible. So,
Spoilers.
I am a firm believer that she was killed. It was not an accident.
For what purpose? I mean, what other than just their displeasure with her relationship?
That was the purpose.
Oh, so they were just so
the
peeved?
purpose was that
MI6 did it.
they disliked her.
The IMF.
Yes, they disliked her, and they disliked Dodie so much that the
Did he die too?
yes, right, yeah, I think the driver died too.
He died of a car accident with a bullet through the forehead.
What is Hillary Clinton coming around?
Should we censor that part? I can't say. Can we say
turns out he
bullet?
committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head.
We're gonna have to bleep the entire section that we just spoke. So if
We
there's
are.
a big bleep there, it was because it was content that was deemed unsuitable for listeners' ears.
Yeah.
So
You know how
I guess I could just cut it out. Why don't you just cut it out? Listen, I have a theory.
What
I
is
have
your
a theory.
theory? Let's
My
hear your
theory. This is juicy. This is real juicy. You guys are gonna like it. My theory is that is stemmed from something that Adam brought to us. Just a little nugget that Adam brought to us that said she died because she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Is it possible, ladies and gentlemen of the jury and listeners of the podcast, is it possible, I submit to you, that the government of both Europe and America teamed up and used somebody that was of influence with the people as a patsy and as a focal point to drive home the seatbelt law? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Seatbelts were not a huge thing back then.
97?
Yeah.
They were.
They weren't a huge thing. They're not as big as they are now.
97 wasn't like when we
It
were
was a
kids,
lap
and it was
belt.
like
That
It was a
wasn't the
lap belt
Cretaceous
society.
period.
Yeah,
Like
that
that was
wasn't
20
like when
years
it's
ago.
like, hey, here's a station wagon, and you have 2 seats in the back of the car
Listen,
facing outward.
it was a
so if you
lap-
get rear-ended, someo's eating a bumper.
Listen, it was a lap belt society, right? Lap belts do nothing but cut people in half. Am I right? Here's the deal. I submit to you that car development people, engineers, big car companies, even petroleum development people, oil refineries, and big gas companies, natural gas companies, teamed up, paid the government to stage this thing to kill somebody of influence, all with the intention of giving them grounds to make statements about how important seatbelts are, and they all benefit from it. It's a big conspiracy.
Benefit from what? The seatbelts were already in cars.
They were already in cars, but they were not as policed. Think about it.
I don't think that's the thing.
Which leads us to our next topic.
And this will probably be our long one.
Cars
Oh, no, never mind.
are important in this one as well, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, yeah, I'm right. Sorry.
Because the convertible is a comfortable, beautiful, lovely car. Not always designed very well. I would like a convertible. But the stigma of a Kennedy in a convertible is not a good thing. I'm a Kennedy by blood.
You're not the same one. And this may have just gotten really dark.
JFK was assassinated. And it's not a debate. The myth is not a debate on whether he was or wasn't assassinated. The
he was
debate is
definitely
on whether or
assassinated.
not John Wilkes Booth was the perpetrator.
That's the wrong one.
Henry Stein. That's not. What's the name of the guy?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee
That's
Harvey
the one.
Oswald.
Whether it was Lee Harvey.
Wait, hold on. Back
Did you
up.
say John Wilkes Booth?
Did
Like,
you really?
legitimately?
Did you really for a second think that John Wilkes Booth
I got
was
confused.
the assassinator of John F.
I didn't
Kennedy?
know what I wanted.
You didn't know something. Good night.
So Henry
you
Stein.
are a grown. Hold on.
What's his name?
You're a Lee Harvey Oswald. You're
Harvey
a
Oswald.
grown man.
I'm a grown man.
He votes. He drives.
My word. Someone.
Mercy sakes.
Oh,
Do I? Do I though?
You don't
Listen,
have
the
proof.
people of the
Mass suspect.
listeners of this podcast. They
I
don't
put
know
you
me.
on my trivia team for what? Not that
Hey,
garbage.
this was a long
John
time ago.
Wilkes
This is before you knew me.
Oh my.
Now you know.
Worthless. John Wilkes Booth. We're going to discuss this off air. We're going to have a problem. Dummy. Anyway.
That's all the time we have today for this episode of the A.
Anyway.
Just kidding.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
In the
Leland
book repository.
Leland Oswald.
Fun fact, I toured the area. It's almost like weird, like knowing like this is where this happened. Like it was sobering. I remember sitting there thinking like, you know, even when I was young, like looking at how it was done and like how supposedly it was done, it's almost hard to believe that it was done the way that it was reported to have been done.
You know, and I'm a firm believer. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, as much as I joke and play. But I am a firm believer that Lee Harvey was a patsy.
Yes.
Was a scapegoat. And the reason why is because I've seen the footage. As gruesome as it is, I don't recommend any of our listeners go watch it because it is very graphic.
Yeah, the Zapruder film is not.
But it's irrefutable. The truth, the fact that they claim the positioning of Lee Harvey when he shot Kennedy was from the front. No, from the back. Which direction was he shooting from?
The front, right? Was the front?
No, the back.
He was shooting from the back, but his head goes backwards. Kennedy's head goes backwards, and pardon the expression, brain matter goes out the back, not forward like you would expect. And I've seen a number of expositions where they explain the impracticality of that, just trying to propagate that kind of
the physics of it doesn't make sense.
The physics just don't make sense.
You know, for me, one of the things that's always caused me to question the validity of Lee Harvey Oswald is Jack Ruby.
Why is that?
So there was never, ever even a trial because, you know, Lee Harvey Oswald's arrested. And later that day, Jack Ruby gets through all these cops and shoots Lee Harvey Oswald dead. So before there's any kind of trial, any kind of, is it debriefing? I mean, I don't know. Or any kind of questioning.
Yeah. Interrogation.
Yeah. There's no chance to have that. It's over. It's just, you know, Jack Ruby comes in, shoots Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald's
mobster,
dead.
known connections to the mob.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. I mean, so explain to me how even back then a guy gets through the cops and Secret Service when there is a presidential assassination to shoot somebody point blank.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that happen?
Exactly. Especially the man who just killed the president.
Right, exactly.
Purportedly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're saying
you're going to have massive
that,
security around him.
That one of the most conflicting evidentiary reports is the fact that the assassinator was assassinated.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Before there was any kind of investigation or
Correct.
anything. That they had basically, because the report is that they had basically found him in a window by report, right? It was like a lead they were given, and they found him in a room with a gun.
Book depository. Right. Yeah.
And that they arrested him because he had a gun basically just because he had a gun.
He had a rifle.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You tell me right now that as far away as that book repository was, that they got a tip that quickly
and we're able to pick him up
to him before he was out of there? Come on.
Within the chaos, not only of the crowd there, but also of getting the president secured, the first lady secured, the governor secured,
getting out of there.
Out of there.
Come on, it's there are too many question marks in the whole thing. Now
go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I was just going to say it's very interesting because when you there was some tapes that were released that before Jackie died, she did an interview with ABC. And she asked that the tapes be sealed, but Caroline, her daughter, asked that they were unsealed. This was a couple years ago. And Jackie believed at the time that LBJ was responsible. She believed that LBJ coordinated.
Who was the vice president at the time.
Who was the vice president and would
coordinated the assassination effort.
Now, this is well documented and well known. LBJ and JFK were not friends.
Yeah.
They were not friends. That was purely a political move for him to be the vice president. He was a Catholic. JFK was going to be the first Catholic president.
Right.
He was going to be from the East Coast, Massachusetts. This was not going to play in Texas. LBJ was a very popular. In fact, I think it came down to the two of them for the Democratic nomination. Yeah. And so LBJ was to pull in the rest of the Democratic Party. And so the idea is LBJ and JFK were not friends. It was purely political, and he was an unpopular. He was unpopular among the Southern Democrats. He was pushing civil rights.
Right.
LBJ was a known racist. Mm-hmm. This is not supposition. This is all well documented.
No, correct.
And the idea is that LBJ took his chance, connected to the mafia, connected to the mob. This is where Jack Ruby comes in,
right.
And all of his political connections from years as a senator in Texas.
Like I said, that's all well documented.
Well documented. Reams.
Right. The person that LBJ wasn't a mystery.
No. Everyone knew who LBJ was.
Right.
And everyone loved JFK. And so those tapes, Jackie believed at the time LBJ was responsible.
Right. And when you have a situation like that where it's...
So that's interesting that the widow was a conspiracy theorist. They would have called Jackie a conspiracy theorist.
And that's when the thing with JFK and with LBJ is that you've got a situation where you've got this whole scenario playing out where like I said, the assassinator was assassinated. And so the government's like, case closed.
Yeah.
And there was enough evidence, in my opinion, fabricated. Was Lee Harvey Oswald involved? Possibly. He could have been involved in the whole scenario. I don't know. But I definitely don't think that it was some kind of like lone wolf scenario that we're led to believe. I think there's more to it, especially with the mountains and mountains of evidence. With Jack Ruby, with who LBJ was as a person, with his known mob connections, with him being, an open. I mean, everything that LBJ believed politically was light years different than what JFK believed. But like you said, it was a political play to get those votes.
Here's where it gets even more interesting, why Jackie believed LBJ was involved in the mob. So Jack Ruby is a known mobster, okay? Mm-hmm. So he shoots Lee Harvey Oswald, 1963. He's sentenced to death, but here's the thing. He's got terminal lung cancer.
Right. He's dying anyway.
He dies in 1967, just 4 years later. What most people believe, and I think is not a stretch by any means, he knew he was sick. He knew he was terminal and said, I'll do this. And here's what else is...
Take care of my family.
Absolutely. He was going to take care. It was going to take care of everybody. Here's the other thing, is that his original conviction was reversed. They appealed and said, he couldn't have got a fair trial in Dallas. And so his sentence of execution was itself reversed. And so even if he would have been convicted and didn't have lung cancer, still the execution, his judgment of execution was reversed. So there's just so much there it's not a stretch at all. I mean, it's just...
Correct. I agree.
It's just simple math.
Right.
It's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
You brought nothing to this one, did you?
No. I didn't. I was tuned out. I had some other things going on in my brain.
Ridiculous.
We're glad you could join us.
One thing I'd like to do, listeners, we are going to make a post about this on all of these myths, and we would like to hear your feedback. Comment on the posts on both Facebook and Instagram, and let us know, do you believe in these myths? Do you believe in some of the ideas that we have just kind of fleshed out through them or not? Give us your thoughts. We want to hear from you. Let us know. Before we go on to the next one, it's time for a word from our sponsors. The A&D show is sponsored by Kenneth over at KS Marketing. KS Marketing is your source for everything marketing related. Whether you need a marketing plan done, whether you need a website developed, whether you need graphics, photography, anything you need done to market your business, Kenneth and KS Marketing can do it for you. Check them out. They do great work, and they're getting super busy, so you might as well get over there while the getting's good. Am I right? Of course I'm right. Now back to the podcast. All right, so we have one more myth, one more intriguing, mythical thing to talk about that is just we've kind of hinted at it. We've done it actually. We had Corey on the show a few weeks ago, and he and I did an actual hunt for one of these type creatures, one of these type of things, and that is cryptozoology. Now, there are a number of cryptozoological animals purported to exist
Nessie.
in this world. Nessie is one of them.
Chupacabra.
The chupacabra.
As the only individual of a Hispanic origin here, I can credibly tell you that
Listen.
chupacabra means goat sucker.
Yeah.
Listen, our skin tone is very similar.
Very similar.
How
Very
do
similar.
you know that I am not part Mexicano as well?
The fact that you
I'm
had to
not.
qualify that
I don't know.
statement
Really, I've got
The
thick,
fact that you said Mexicano.
I've got
betrays
thick,
you,
I've
my
got
friend.
thick black hair also, so you never know.
So
Hola, me
also,
llamo Austin.
We've got what else? We got Bigfoot.
Villa Grande in Spanish.
Yeah.
Villa
There are
Grande,
number ones.
chupacabra.
There are a number of them. There are some of them that are you could say mythical, but that are actually referenced in historical literature. For example, Leviathan is a biblical
Leviathan.
character or a biblical reference.
Unicorn.
The unicorn. Other things like that. We won't dive too deep into those, but we do have some really stark, contrasting opinions on a couple of them. First of all, I just want to say my piece about El Chupacabra. And that is
The goat sucker.
legit, real deal.
Goat sucker. That's what it means.
That's what it means.
No, I believe you. You speak
Yeah.
Spanish. I'm not going to question you on that.
And here's the thing.
You have to roll the R though.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. Hey.
He's
The way you
speaking
just
out to the...
Is that how you got
speaking-
Betsy?
He's speaking out to all the...
A mi hermanos y hermanas que habla español. Sí, mi
my.
español es mal, pero yo
don't
entiendo
know
más
what
que yo
he's-
puedo hablar.
I don't know what he's saying. Whatever it is, do not listen to him.
See,
Here's the
bueno.
thing. The Chupacabra, it's a real deal.
Chupacabra.
I believe. And I'll tell you why.
El
I don't believe that it's
Chupacabra.
exactly what... I don't believe it's exactly what Hispanic culture has made it out to be. But I do believe that it is a creature, and it's probably a little bit more easily explained than what Hispanic culture has led on. And basically, some of the evidentiary stuff about the Chupacabra is that it is a fox-like creature that stalks and hunts its prey at night. It's rarely ever been seen and only been partially seen by a few. And one of its most distinguishing features is that it has a 3-fanged mouth that it actually uses to puncture.
what?
Is it the brain or is it the blood that it drinks?
The blood.
blood.
The goat sucker. That's what the name
it
means.
drains
So like they do.
goats of their blood,
Drinks.
basically. But it's 3 fangs.
Jugular.
It's jugular, and it's a vampiric fox, basically, is what they say. My personal perspective on it is that it's true, but that some of the propagation of see, there you go.
that thing looks terrifying.
It looks like a saber-toothed tiger. We're looking at pictures of it for our listeners that can't see what we're
Prehistoric in nature, nocturnal, very
Looks
vicious.
like a saber-toothed tiger. But what they say is that it kills, drains the blood, and then leaves the rest of the carcass. Now, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So what I'm thinking is that it is some kind of fox.
Or hairless raccoon.
Or a hairless raccoon. That people have seen. Yeah, that's a freaky looking one right there, isn't it? And that the myth has been propagated
It's been magnified. Yeah.
by people who have actually taken goats and drained their blood to propagate this myth.
Yes.
But that the creature that people have reportedly seen is a real thing.
Much
but-
like the Bigfoot myths.
Exactly.
People have created a lot of it.
Yeah. And there may...
Now listen, David went Bigfoot hunting, so don't break his heart on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you a Bigfoot
I'm
believer?
not a footer. But
not a footer?
I'm
What
not a
about
footer.
Yeti?
I'm not a... the Yeti is a little bit more...
So are you into the whole, like, no, because there's a whole strain in the Bigfoot conspiracies of North American gorilla kind of idea.
That's kind of more where I'm at. Is that and we talked about that on a previous episode.
Okay. I need to listen to this podcast more often.
Rude.
I thought you were a subscriber.
I do.
I'm
I do.
offended.
I do.
No, we talked about it. Corey and I talked about it. Corey, my friend who was co-hosting that with me, that as a guest, he is of the mind that it's just a complete fable. I'm more of the mind that people see what they actually saw, but that it's more easily explained than what they're leading on.
Right.
And
Yes.
that it's more, and my personal opinion is that with a Bigfoot specifically, that we're more inclined to have some sort of North American primate
Yeah.
rather than a Bigfoot mythical creature, right? So what about Nessie? Nessie is something that has been reported. Loch Ness is where they originally reported it, the
Scotland.
Lake Loch Ness, and that there's supposedly some prehistoric monster that lives within the lake.
Now, I can support Nessie. I don't know for sure.
Are you just saying like I support you, Nessie? Like I believe in you,
Well, that too.
like moral support.
I
backing her up?
I don't know for sure that it's in like a Scotland lake by any means, but there are so many creatures and animals that are in the oceans that we have never seen before.
Yeah, I believe that.
Mosasaurus is now
an
loose.
immense an immense amount of creatures that are out in the ocean that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Why not this huge? I mean, I don't know that there's like 40 of them, but I mean, why not?
You never know. Here's one of the most compelling things for me, right? The
It does look like a sad. If you just Google Nessie, like it just looks like a sad little dinosaur. Like it's me, I'm in the
It's like the
ocean.
Eeyore of dinosaurs. But here's one of the most compelling things for me to believe in the Loch Ness monster or any of the other kind of hadrosaur-esque creatures that people have said live in lakes, freshwater, saltwater ponds, whatever. One of the most compelling things to me is the alligator. The alligator is the closest example of a living dinosaur that we have.
Well,
That's
and
not
the
true.
ostrich.
That's not true.
The ostrich.
Besides the ostrich.
They also say that chickens are immensely close to dinosaurs.
Yes, dinosaurs actually, they believe, had feathers.
Yeah.
Right.
They were
But
not the scaly reptilian that they probably look more like chickens.
How
That's not very
how
intimidating.
terrifying is that?
Looks more like a
T-Rex.
The
chicken.
T-Rex, he just like, I'm coming to bed. I was like, "Ah!"
He's all fuzzy. He's got wings. Hey, actually, I speaking of Tyrannosaurus Rex, I actually saw a video that they talked about the roar that the T-Rex would have actually had was not what he has in Jurassic Park.
It was more like,
Well, actually,
Chirp.
no. What they said in the video was that it was more of a guttural rumble, and it was almost subsonic, more than it was actually like roar. You know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
that's a different topic for a different day. But
Yes.
one of the most compelling things to me is the fact that creatures that we know as modern, normal, everyday, rather stupid-looking creatures, chickens, ostriches, and
Yes.
alligators, 3 specific examples,
Are essentially
prehistoric
Dinosaurs.
creatures
Yes.
that
Right.
live in modern
That is
society
absolutely
or
correct.
modern day, right? And the fact that they have existed and survived means that it's possible that others have done the same.
like the
Right.
brontosaur,
The
watery,
the hadrosaur.
the hydrosaur. There you go.
And that's the
Glitching.
underwater brontosaurus. But that's the idea is that somehow,
Yes.
and I think that that's absolutely possible. You know, the world, the Earth, the globular Earth, as we talked about in our last episode, is nearly 75% covered with water. The Pacific Ocean by itself is 60% of the surface of the planet.
That's
And the fact that the Pacific Ocean is that vast means that in all of human history over the last, let's just say 10,000 years that humans have existed on the planet, right? If that's even accurate. Scientists, carbon dating says it's only been about the last 10,000 years, right? If that's even accurate. And the fact that we've been around that long, if that's true, we haven't even scratched the surface of covering every square inch of the globe's water surface.
correct.
Not even close. And so for us to say that the dinosaurs are extinct, something that broad
Right,
of a
right.
statement
It's
is a little impetuous to say.
I read an article, and I can't remember where it was from. It was a few weeks ago, talking about how, and I want to say it was at MIT, maybe not MIT, somewhere, one of the big schools, saying that they were close to cloning dinosaurs from chickens. which fascinated me, that they've got that they're this close because they're basically remapping the genome of the chicken to be more resemblant to a dinosaur. Mm-hmm. So they're in the process. But I mean, with that said, with talking about dinosaurs and how there could be things in the ocean that we don't know where they are, we don't know what they are. I think it was saying that like there are literally new species discovered every day of animals. Mm-hmm. There's always something new. So I mean,
well, and there are places in the ocean, right? Marianas Trench is what, like 48 million feet deep, or some crazy depth. I've actually heard it said that we know more about outer space than we know about the world under the surface of the water.
We've only been how many miles deep beneath the surface in the Earth?
I don't think we can go that deep.
Yeah, it's only I think it's 7 or 8 miles.
Yeah,
that we've only been beneath the Earth's surface.
Now there have been some unmanned subs that have gone further. And those unmanned subs have actually been part of that exploration and part of that where these new species have been developed. Everybody's seen that freaky looking fish with the big chompers and the big dangly little light that glows in front of its face. Everybody's seen that thing. That's a freaky looking thing. And that only lives at like 30,000 feet below the surface of the water at a pressure depth that is so extreme that even unmanned subs can't go beyond that.
And that's saying, I think we're all smart enough to know that no matter how deep you go, there are still things that we're never going to see. Like there are still animals and creatures that we're never going to see them because these animals will evolve to be able to withhold that or withstand that kind of pressures.
Yeah, from the surface to I just did a little search here. From the surface to the core of the Earth, they say is 3,954 miles, and we've only been down seven.
Yeah. And you go
4,000 miles.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. We still haven't even reached the depth at which all the kaiju come up out of the fissure in the ground.
It's true.
Pacific Rim.
We need to work on this whole kaiju thing.
Yeah. By the way, Pacific Rim 2.
Good.
It's good. Not as good as the first one, but it was good.
Was solid.
It was solid.
It was good.
Solid film.
So these are the questions.
These are the questions. These are the things that plague our minds every single day.
And this is why Nessie could be a reality there in the Highlands of Scotland.
Yeah. It's entirely possible. And here's the thing. Of all of the myths we have discussed, one thing I want to just clarify, listeners. We have this little thing, I don't know if you've listened to it much, at the beginning of our podcast that says nerdy. And then the word that comes right after nerdy is unqualified. So let me just, at the end of this 2-part series with Adam as our guest and our whole debunking or confirming of these myths, let me just say that we are unqualified people. These are just our thoughts. They do not represent the thoughts and feelings and opinions of those that we represent on a day-to-day basis. So
speak for yourself. I am wholly qualified to make wild accusations and assumptions.
If Nessie were alive, she'd be dead today.
Yeah.
She's an alien. She was taken back to her home planet.
She's in witness protection in Antarctica.
It's because of the mafia. Thanks, Jack Ruby.
She's on the underside of the flat surface of the Earth.
I love it. I love it so much.
Well, wow, what a wild ride of all these myths.
Good day.
2 weeks worth, actually 2 episodes worth, so a month's worth of talking about myths.
Conspiracies
and
my wife texted me and said, she said, well, how is it going? And I said, well, it's going good, differing opinions, etc. And she goes, I might actually listen to this episode.
Oh my.
Like, well, thanks for that, I guess.
Are you going to do your normal and give her a little
no, she has to earn her way back into my heart. She's already there.
So Haley, we assume that you're listening to this, and being that we are assuming you're listening, go back and listen to the other episodes for your own sake.
Oh, window's closed, man. Window's closed.
But still
listen.
If you go
listen,
back
because I am your husband, and
you're required to by law.
This wasn't part of the agreement.
And for better or for worse, this is the worst it gets.
This is the worst.
We didn't even touch the ultimate conspiracy theory.
What's
this?
9/11.
Oh man, we probably have to do a whole episode by itself.
We do.
That's a whole one
Listen,
by itself.
Yeah.
As I get older, and the more I read about it, and the more I watch about it, like I know a guy that is just, he's the worst. I just can't stand listening to him talk about it. But I watched this video.
Tell me his name so I know how to pray.
I'll tell you off air.
Off air. We can't shout him out on the...
No. But
He
I'll
might
tell
be
you
a
what,
listener.
I tell you what, it is. If you look into it, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
And honestly, the most fascinating one is the Pentagon.
Yes,
If
I
you
completely
look
agree.
at the plane crashing into the Pentagon,
Completely agree. It's not there.
It's mind blowing. It's
not there.
It's mind
And
blowing.
the fact that they never found any debris. Hold on. We can't talk about this
No.
now.
Oh,
We're going to
this
have
is a
to.
whole episode.
man,
That's a
this is
teaser,
painful.
ladies
my
and
gosh.
gentlemen, listeners
Painful.
across the world.
This is a.
This is a teaser. If you want,
and I wanted to do 9/11, but I'm like, I don't want to be
That
that
needs to be a
guy.
whole episode.
It's got to be a whole episode. That's a whole 30 to 40 minute discussion on 9/11.
let me challenge our listeners real fast. Listeners, if you want to hear a 9/11
Oh, you do.
exclusive
Oh,
episode,
you do.
You know you want it.
let us know.
It's the podcast you need. You don't
didn't
know you
need
want
that
it, but you need
didn't
it.
know you needed. So if you like what you're hearing here, subscribe to our podcast wherever you
about it.
listen. We're now on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify. I think we're even on what's the Amazon one?
Are you on Stitcher?
I think so.
SoundCloud?
I don't know if we're on SoundCloud. I'm not on SoundCloud.
Check out my mixtape, fam.
But subscribe to our podcast, follow us on the Instagram, like us on Facebook, stay up to date, and give us your feedback. We want to know what you think about what we're doing. And if you want to hear another episode, another Myths Debunked episode featuring our good friend Adam, you let us know.
You do.
And we will get that junk in the works ASAP.
You do.
My birthday is 9/11, by the way. And my initials are AS.
I actually listen. Not my 9/11 story. Besides being in school, there was an album coming out that day, and I was immensely excited for it to come out. And I didn't listen to it for like 3 days because I was so sucked into the news. It was bad.
What album?
That was POD. That was POD's. The album was Satellite.
That's not ironic. Payable on death.
I will have you know that I was big into rock rap back in the day.
POD.
And I was big into POD, and Satellite came out 9/11.
That's such a knock against your character. Rock rap.
Being a POD fan?
No, just rock rap in general.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. It's terrible. I'm embarrassed for myself.
You know, as much as you hate on me, I think we're even at this point. You hated on me for getting the guy's name wrong, the assassin's name wrong, and I can hate on you for POD. So
listen, if we go back and look at my listening pleasures from high school, unless you're big into emo, punk pop, you're gonna really hate me.
yeah,
But 2003 Austin was big in like Simple Plan. Oh, so bad.
Simple Plan.
So bad.
Shout out to Simple Plan. They're still going. You know that?
Are they really?
Oh yeah, they're big. My brother and sister-in-law.
What are they playing?
Absolutely
What are they
love
playing?
them.
Bar mitzvahs?
In fact, my brother and sister-in-law went and saw them live in concert literally like a month and a half ago. I was at the releasing of this episode had been like 3 months ago.
Was it so? What, that was like 4 people.
It was huge. It was like the full stadium. They booked the whole thing, sold out.
They did not. Simple
Yeah.
Plan.
Is that right?
Oh, so bad. So bad.